Rabbi Caplan, please.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, we're starting.
Tonight, Thursday night, Chovov of Orla Chovov is the yortzeit of Rabenu Yol, the satmar. And behemoth, I wasn't gonna talk about this. That wasn't my plan to talk about him. My plan was to talk about the subject of Tachnun and of Urachum of Sheni v'Chamishi. I don't know if we'll get to it or not. The interesting is that Chov Vov Ov, if you put these two together, it comes out Ko'ev. It hurts. And I would say that the union of the hurting, of the pain that we have on this day from the Ptira, Silukan Shel Tzadikim, even though and it's called Yom Hilula de Silukan Shel Tzadikim, but that's in the upper world. It's a Hilula that the Tzadik came to the world. The Gemara says in Moed Katan, one of the Hespedim that they said was Rochev HaRovus, the one that rides in HaRovus, one of the seven heavens is called HaRovus. Sos v'someach. It's a tremendous simcha bevo elov nefesh noki v'tzadik. A pure nefesh and a tzadik comes up there. Over there, it's not Ko'ev. Ko'ev is in this world. Shavak Chaim, he left us, but he left Chaim. The lashon of Chazal when the tzaddik died is Shavak Chaim. He left life, but pain it is, Ko'ev, that he left this world. The interesting is that Dafka and this tzaddik was nifter in such a day that it's Ko'ev, that the date comes out to the word Ko'ev, pain, because we have to know that pain and sickness it all comes from the tzadat tuma, the tzadora, the sitra achra, the satan. That's where pain and sickness comes from. In the tzadat tov, the tzadat kedusha, there's oz v'chedva b'mkomo. There's only simcha. There's only happiness. There's no such thing as pain. There's no such thing as moaning and groaning and complaining and feeling depressed and feeling sad. There's no such thing in the higher world. In the tzaddik kedusha, it's oz v'chedva b'mkomo. Ka'ev, pain, comes from the tzadora. In the Dor Achron, right before Mashiach comes, Hashem, it was Gozra Chochmoso Yisborach, that there should be a shefa in the world. There's the news, the tremendous news that we saw in the Shtetl in Europe before the war. It doesn't, we don't have it nowadays, although it's not really true, because we do have it. But on the outside, in the open, I once saw pictures in an album of Roman Vishniak, that he was a photographer, that right before the war he went to Eastern Europe and he took pictures. You see pictures of children in small villages standing, walking in the street with barefooted, without shoes. I saw a picture there of a long line of children standing, waiting for the bathhouse to take a bath. Can you imagine? It didn't mean they didn't take a bath every day. I know my daughters, they give their children a bath every night before they go to sleep. Even I didn't do that every night. They say, and my daughter has twins. One daughter has twins and a little boy. She gives them a bath every night. I asked her, what do you have to, every night you have to do? She said, well, it relaxes them. They feel relaxed after it. So it's even better. Then they sleep better at night. Okay, very good. Look what luxury exists in our world. And of course, we don't know about the pain, and we don't know about the sorrows. It's more hidden, but it's not. You can't take pictures of children going barefooted, and you can't take pictures of children waiting in line to go of it was the Reform movement, and part of it was the Zionist movement. It would be interesting that somebody should do research. I don't know if it's possible on the influence of the Zionist movement on the Klal Yisrael in general. I mean, when that movement came to the world, it came to say, let's cut off from the past. That's what it means in essence. The meaning of the Zionist movement is let's cut ourselves off from the past. Eretz Yisrael and Medina Yisrael, that's all excuses how to do it. That's just a way how to do it. But the essence of it is let's cut off from the past. Let's stop talking Yiddish. Let's talk Ivrit. Let's not use the old accent of Avara Ashkenazis. Let's use Avara Sfaradis.
Rabbi Kaplan,
Yeah.
just a word, maybe you're going to say this already, the famous line from Rav Yitzhak Zev, the Greeks, the Briskerov. They didn't become fried, they didn't become unreligious to make a Medina. They made a Medina to become unreligious.
Right. They made a Medina to uproot the Torah. That means the purpose is to uproot the Torah. And in order to do that, one of the ways was to make a Medina. If they wouldn't, let's say they wouldn't be successful in making a Medina and the British would stay here, they would look for other ways to uproot the Torah. Now, that the people who look at things superficially don't understand this. And I don't know, maybe we also wouldn't understand it. Of course, we know that the Rishoyim are Rishoyim, and we know the Shmad that the Zionists did in the beginning of the Medina. And we also hear nowadays that they're looking for all kinds of ways to erase Yiddishkeit. And you read about all kinds of things that happen in the army, which is mamish. The way the leaders, the commanders, the generals of the army, their outlook is there's no such thing as Judaism. It just doesn't exist. Like we just gonna live like all the goyim. Somebody wants to grow a beard, he has to come begging. Somebody doesn't want to listen to girls singing, he has to come begging. Because it's by them, it's poshut to them that we are goyim, Rachmana litzlan. That's how the Chiloni leaders look at this country, at this nation. We are goyim. And nobody should tell me that's not like that, because that's the way it is. And anybody who says different, he is superficial and he doesn't understand, or he's overlooking, or he doesn't want to see the truth. Now, if it wouldn't have been Rabbeinu Yoel, the satmar wouldn't have been in the world, I don't know if we would be able to talk such sharp talk, such harsh talk about the Zionist movement. We would say, okay, the Rishoyim are Rishoyim. What does that have to do with me? In my street, I don't see any cars driving on Shabbos. I see my street is from, and in fact, I myself always say that. My street is from and finished.
Rabbi Kaplan,
what?
Just you use this phrase many times, the Rishoyim are Rishoyim. Can you interject where you get this from?
I didn't get it from anybody. I got it from my brain. That's how you look at me, that everything I say I got from somebody?
No, Rabbi Kaplan, please.
Okay. But we wouldn't feel such strong feelings. And even us that we didn't look at it, we don't know much of his farm, and we didn't hear his drushes, but we're in an indirect way, we're influenced from him. He was machazik that. And that's why the day that he died is called Ko'ev, it's pain, because it went away, But the Gemara in Sota in the end of the first parak says that when Moshe Rabbeinu died, so the Hashem himself said a hesped on him. What was the hesped? He didn't say he was Mekabel the Torah. He didn't say he was on him. He said, Miyokum li Mereim. Who's going to get up and fight against the Mereim, against the Rishayim? Although there's another pshat over there. Who's going to be Mispalo when the Rishayim do their rishis? But it's all the same. The tefillah, that'll be the mechitza that blocks against the influence of the Rishonim, and Moshe Rabbeinu did that, and who's going to now do it? Now that Rabbeinu Yorel left this world, it's ko'ev, pain comes down to the world, because that's what the Sitra Achra, the Sultan, and his whole group, and the whole Tzadara brings to ko'ev. Tzaddik Kaddish is only Oz v'chedva b'mkama. But we have to know, it's a mistake to think that that's all he was, that's what he was. He was a Gon Olam, a tremendous Gon, he knew Kol HaTorah Kula. He was, and everything he said and everything was brilliant and genius. And I once saw a countries where Chidushim on Hilchos Rebbe's, and it looked like almost every shach, he had a pilpul to say on every piece of shach. Who can do that? Who ever heard of saying a pilpul on a shach? Dayenu, that we learn the shach, that we understand what he says, but to go on and say a whole pilpul on it, and we never heard of such a thing. That's what he was. Today, I just wanted to say over Bishmo on today's parasha. It says in the beginning of the parasha, Re'eh anochi nosin lifneichem hayom brocho klolo. The Torah says, Re'eh anochi nosin, I'm giving to you a brocha and a klolo. What's hayom? What's hayom? Anochi nosin lifneichem. Pasuk could have said, I'm putting in front of you, anochi nosin lifneichem brocho klolo. What's the hayom? Says the satmar, Re'eh, the Lashon Re'eh goes on something that's far. And he brings it from the Pasuk. By Yosef, it says, on the 7 years of the Sova, it says, Eish Asher Elokim Oseh Higid Lapa. And then it says, by the Shnei Horov, it says, Hera, it's Pharaoh. The Lashon Re'iyah uses on something that's, Pasuk uses that on something that's going to be in the future, in 7 years from now. But he got good at that on something that's going to happen now. You see, for me, the Re'iyah, that's the koach of looking far into the future. That's Re'eh Anochi Nosin Lefneichem Hayom. It's a stira. Hayom is right now. Only that's what a Yid is supposed to do. When it's Hayom, when you're standing today and you're living your life, and you might have what you need, and you might have what to eat, and you might have where to live, and you might think that you're a Yid, and you might think you're going on the Torah way. But the Torah says that's Hayom. But Ray, look further, look into the future. Look with your seichel. You don't see it with your gashmiistic eyes right now. But use your seichel to look far into the future. And you'll see that what you're doing today, that might have an effect on way into the future. So, when you're standing in the
Rabbi Caplan, we're taking a quick break.